What is up guys, Andy Forrestine Runner here, and today we're taking the Saucony ENDORPHIN Pro out for the long run test. 20 miles done and dusted in the Saucony ENDORPHIN Pro, and a massive thank you to Matt, the Welsh runner, for filming me today. You can check out Matt's YouTube channel details and Instagram links in the description below. Today we hammered the hills, we hammered the trails. Yes, I appreciate this is not a trail shoe. We stuck to some very runnable trails and we absolutely went to town on those hills. What an incredible run it was in this shoe. Today we're going to be going through the pros, the cons, and how this thing fared overall, and my final thoughts on this shoe before it gets boxed back up and saved for race day. So if you're excited for today's video guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and without further ado, let's jump in to how it went. Let's talk about the run itself very quickly before I give you my thoughts. The plan for today was to go 18 miles minimum. I had in my head I'd love to do 20 if I could, but as always I like to just play it safe. So 18 is always a good long run test for me. Anything over 15 is a good long run test, but when we're talking about a marathon racing shoe, you guys know that I want to give it my all-in testing and give you guys some decent data, because at the end of the day there's no point testing a marathon racing shoe or a long distance racing shoe if we're not going to test it properly. So there we go, 20 miles done. The plan, 2 laps of the cycle track, which is as flat as you can get around here, and it's not flat at all. It would end up being about 700-800 foot of elevation in the end, but we ended up doing 1300. Well, according to Matt's watch it was 1300, according to mine it was 12.5. And the plan, we started on the cycle track, we rose up the steep hill on the cycle track. There is one steep hill. We got to the top and I looked at Matt and I said, at 8 miles in, how do you want to play this? Should we push it? Should we go a little bit harder? Are you feeling good? And he kind of agreed and said, yeah, why not? So we ended up hitting the hills, we ended up going off-piste, and we went on some good rolling trails. Now at that point we were clocking some good 30-minute mile pace, maybe a little bit slower, and I thought this is the point where this shoe is going to slow down. However, that did not happen, ladies and gentlemen. We kept up the pace. It was relentless, it was great. The miles ticked by, and I can assure you it was an absolute privilege to run with Matt, because I haven't run with someone in such a long time, and 20 miles passed very, very quickly. I did struggle a little bit towards the end, I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to make it out to sound like I'm superhuman. At 16 miles, we had a couple of big hills left, and I did start to flag a little bit, but it was just the epitome of racing, like I'm running with someone. I wasn't racing, but having someone to tag along with, having someone there just to grind with you. I sat behind Matt and we just ran, and I be honest with you, I cannot believe the paces that we ran towards the end of that run, getting in the low sub 6 minute mile pace at the end of the 20 mile run in this shoe. It was absolutely phenomenal. You guys know, if you follow my training, the long run is my priority regardless of what distance I'm training for. I love to do some good steady long runs, and I'm not going to lie, we hit some marathon pace efforts, and up some of those hills, half marathon pace efforts. There's no beating about the bush. I took this thing to the well and back, and it passed with absolute flying colours. So let's talk about how the shoes themselves performed on the long run today before I give you my final thoughts on the shoe. And this thing is being boxed back up, as I said, and saved for some race day. So in terms of the long run today, it was just a dream. Now, this shoe is not for everyone. I'm going to make this very clear. When I did my next percent video versus this video, there's lots of people that are swaying towards this shoe and swaying towards the next percent. Now, let me tell you why I gave the edge to the Endorphin Pro in the initial test. I haven't done a long run in the next percent. That's coming next weekend, so please be patient. I will get you comparison on the long runs the following week. These shoes are fitting into my training. I'm not adapting my training to these shoes. So today was the turn of this thing, and I have to say the reason I'm really getting on with this shoe is it's quite similar in certain ways to the Carbon X. I love the Carbon X. If you missed the video in my first impressions, I like a firmer, snappier racing shoe. I'm not a massive fan of softer racing shoes. I like the next percent. I think that's why I gave the edge to this thing in the tempo run, just because I felt like I was sinking in a little bit to the next percent, despite the fact that the next percent made the pace feel absolutely effortless. And that will become a big factor on next weekend's long run. So we'll see how that goes. So what I'm going to say is the people that are going to love this shoe are the people that love the Carbon X. In my opinion, it's not as firm as the Carbon X. It is softer, a little bit softer. It's got great responsiveness. It is really snappy. I don't notice the carbon plate itself. And yeah, it's a better refined version, in my opinion, of the Carbon X. So those are the people that are going to like it. How did I feel on the run today? Absolutely grand. We came down the cycle track, downhill. We hit the first big climb at the top of the cycle track, and I said to Matt, turned to him and said, do you fancy, I'm feeling good today, mate. This is 8 miles in. I'm feeling good today. Shall we challenge ourselves? Shall we hit the hills? Do you want to do 2 loops, or should we go off-piste, go on some other runnable trails and see what we are made of today? And he was like, yeah, why not? You know, I know he's working on his hills at the moment whilst we're in this kind of transitioning phase and building up the mileage, working on the strength. So we went for it. We hit the hills, and I was so happy that we did. We picked runnable trails, obviously. Again, I'll reiterate, I know this isn't a trail running shoe, but I picked runnable trails. At the moment during lockdown, I just don't feel comfortable driving half an hour somewhere, but even just to get a good 5-mile stretch of road that I can go out and back on, it's just not appropriate. So we're using what we're using around here, and it just disappeared off my feet. And that's what I love about this shoe. It just absolutely disappeared. It works for my gait cycle. It really works for my gait cycle. I just land and roll, and it is just effortless. It's not without its faults, and for the people that love the next percent, you might end up finding this thing is a little bit too firm for you. Who knows? But for those of you who like a firmer racing shoe, you will feel right at home. Towards the end of the run today, as we'd hit and crested over a lot of the hills, we had a couple of hills left, around 16 miles. I did start to suffer a little bit. We put a good effort in running 6:30 pace at 20 miles across those hills. Bearing in mind, I did 6:30 pace last weekend in the New Balance Fuel Cell TCs on maybe, what was it, 700-800 foot of climbing. That was a 2-looper on the cycle track. It was a loop and a half and a bit extra. So today was a heck of a lot hillier, and that's testament to A, my fitness, but B, the shoes that I was wearing. I know some people on Strava very kindly said it's not the shoes that make the runner, it's down to your fitness. You should take massive credit. And don't get me wrong, I do see my fitness trending in a very upward level, but great shoes really do help. And this thing, as I said, was effortless. Got to that point, Matt said, how are you feeling? I said, I am starting to suffer. So I ducked in behind him, and I didn't draft as such, but I ran behind him. He led the way, and he dragged me home. And I guess between 16-20 miles, I started to feel a little bit better. And the last 2 miles, although I was suffering a bit, it wasn't my breathing that was suffering at all. I was really in a good zone. It was my hips and my glutes from working those hills. And that's why it's so important, I find, to work the hills during this period. Anyway, I digress. The shoe felt amazing, and we clocked some low 6-minute mile paces towards the end of the run. I looked at my watch and I said, Matt, what is going on today, man? This is insane. So overall, I've got to say, with the long run, this shoe passed with flying colours. So now that this shoe is being boxed back up, overall thoughts, how I'm going to be using it moving forward. Well, obviously, we're saving it for race day. It passed the tempo test with flying colours and won the battle, in my opinion, with the next percent. Will it win the battle on the long run test? Stay tuned for next week until we do the next percent long run and find out. But it certainly passed with flying colours today. How am I going to use it moving forward? We'll have to see what happens with the next percent. But if I had these 2 racing shoes right now, I'm telling you straight off the bat, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, I'm gonna lean towards this shoe. Now, marathons, who knows? The Next Percent could be the winner for me there. I'll be honest with you, I think it could be. From what you guys are saying, it really comes into its own, and I cannot wait to try it out over an 18-mile distance. If my legs can take me there next week, I cannot wait to try that shoe out over the distance. But I've got to say at the moment, this is just a dream. It reminds me of the Carbon X, but better. Obviously, I've set my PR of 117.5 in the Carbon X. And yeah, 10K is super snappy. I'm telling you now, this is a shoe that in 3.5 weeks time, we are going to be running the 10K time trial in, which means I will probably do one final 5K time trial in the Next Percent so that gets a good time trial. And then that'll be it. It's 30 miles in this shoe already. Another 10K will take us up to 36. I need to savor these things. I need to savor them. They're getting dirty and I don't want to waste them on mileage. So that will be it for the testing on this shoe. Overall thoughts, Saucony, I take my hats off to you. You have made me want to try the speed. You've made me want to try the shift, and what an entry into the carbon plated running shoe world. 10 out of 10 for effort. For me personally on this shoe, 9.5 out of 10. It is almost flawless. The only downside I found, I did the lace lock today. It helped the heel slippage. It was still there a little bit, but it helped. That was the only thing. If I could just get a slight better lockdown in the shoe, then it would be 10 out of 10 with that hands down. So there we go, guys. Those are my thoughts on the Saucony ENDORPHIN Pro. It passed the long run test with flying colours. Let me know if you have managed to snag a pair of these shoes. Let me know if you've run in it. Let me know if you've run long in it, and let me know your thoughts, because I'm telling you now, it is absolutely a dream to run in. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Once again, Matt, mate, if you're watching, thank you so much for filming today. Really, really appreciate it. Guys, if you're watching, you're amazing. If you like the video, give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content. And as always, I will see you on the next one. Until then.